מר נתניהו.
כל אחד הבעיה. שמרבן יצטרך מגיזם. זה ברכה והצלחה. כפי ולתושיע.
באתי לבקש את זה
בכל העניינים.
גם האישיים, גם הלאומיים.
Bemele dürfen alle wissen, aber Schaß macht sich on was Hashem, ist das nicht eine Sache, was man kann damit jetzt sein, und man kann sich damit halten, eben mit Hoben Aves Atere und eben mit Hoben Aves Israel.
In 1970, the Jewish world saw a new phenomenon. Lubavitcher students began taking to the streets in converted trucks, dubbing them mitzvah tanks. It was new, it was different, and it had never been done before in history.
I want to give special thanks to the Chabad for hosting this event. The Lubavitcher Rebbe taught us that every living thing must grow. And just as Hanukkah lights will grow from the first day to the 8th, just as even those who have achieved good and holy things must never be satisfied with what they've achieved yesterday, may you all go from strength to strength.
We made an agreement with the Bureau of Prisons in Washington that they would allow us to take certain people that had certain criteria out of prison to a certain location where we would train them in learning and in prayer and in all kinds of laws and customs that are important to a Jewish person in such a limited environment, such as prison.
And one time he specifically said, my brother and I was arguing over the ball, and he came over and said, behave yourself, love your brother as you love yourself, and love yourself as you love your brother, because you're each one. So love yourself like this. Initially, that happened when we were 10, 11, 12 years old. And as it turned out, 20 years later, that was the name of our organization, Love Yourself, Stop the Violence. Later on, I found out he's the Grand Rebbe.
He sat down and he said, I know you're very upset. She says, I am upset. I'm insulted. What should I do? And he said, what a blessing God's given you. This country has so much surplus food, and there's so many hungry people. And you can use this gift that God's given you to feed hungry people. Find a creative way to do it. And she says the first day she came to Washington, she met a young congressman who's now a world-famous figure, Robert Dole, from Kansas. And they started talking, and he said, you know, our farmers have all this extra food. We don't know what to do with it. She said, 1 second, the rabbi. And what we call WIC and food stamps, largely expanded. It was a tiny pilot program before. The whole existing food stamps program came out of the Agriculture Committee of the United States Congress, and Shirley Chisholm said, in front of everyone there in Washington, she said, I owe this because a rabbi who was an optimist taught me optimism, taught me that what God gives, what you may think is a challenge is a gift from God. She said, if poor children, babies, I heard her say this, she said, poor babies have milk, if poor children have food, it's because this rabbi in Crown Heights had vision.
You know, the ethical teachings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe have as much relevance today as they ever have. The values upon which the movement is based, wisdom and reverence, are not just desirable, they're necessary for the very survival of civilization. And now we shall proclaim this day Education Day.
I have come tonight to our great master and teacher, the Rabbi, to ask and get from him his blessings before I go to Washington to meet President Carter for the important talks we are going to hold. Rabbi Schneerson is a great man in Israel. All of us respect him. All of us accept his judgment. He is a great lover of the house of Israel. He has shown his deep sentiment